Welcome to my webinar on two of our partners in Patagonia in Argentina. As you might already know, Senderos actually represents quite a few other partners or properties in Argentina. So the third property we represent in Argentinian Patagonia is Bahía Bustamante, which is on the coastline in Chubut province, close to Comodoro Rivadavia. But on this webinar, I'm going to concentrate on two Patagonian properties that are kind of within national parks, closer to the Andean mountain range and closer to the border of Chile. They're two very, very special properties. I mean, of course, I'm biased, but they are properties which both offer this incredible experience of moments, if you like, of experiencing some true elements of what it means to be in remote, isolated, tranquil, wild Patagonia. As you probably already know, we've been working with Estancia Cristina for a number of years already. They are still going really strong. It's fantastic. It's a really wonderful property and outfit. And I'll tell you more about that in a moment. And then with Blas Belsas, we have literally just taken them on as one of our partners in our portfolio in the last month or two. So I went to visit both of these partners on my trip that I took to Argentina in February. So I'm going to start with Estancia Cristina. So Estancia Cristina is not only this incredible place to stay in wild, remote Argentinian Patagonia, it is also absolutely steeped in the most immense amount of rich history. It's and that it gives it its kind of second most kind of unique selling point in a way. So you've got this very remote, beautiful lodge in the middle of Los Glaciares National Park, which was originally built as a farm by a British family called the Masters, the parents of whom were Joseph and Jessie. They arrived there just before 1914, which is when the farm was actually established, set up camp and created this amazing farm, over 50,000 hectares, and had something like 12,000 sheep, a handful of cattle, and they worked, you know, every single day out in this wilderness with this in this incredible land, very, very isolated. The only contact they had with the outside world was with El Calafate, and that was through using a steamboat that they actually brought over from Buenos Aires in about 1916. So as I mentioned, the property has an immense amount of history, and one which you can live and really breathe when you're there, when you're staying at Estancia Cristina. So some of the logistics. Estancia Cristina is located on the northern side of Lake Argentino. So Lake Argentino is here, as you can see, in Los Glaciares National Park, where Lake Viedma further north, which is where El Chaltén is. On the left there, you can see the Los Glaciares National Park and the southern ice fields. So this is where you have huge ice fields, larger than the northern ice fields that go into the Aysén district. These have many glaciers that come down into Lake Argentina and Lake Viedma and further north as well. The most famous being Perito Moreno Glacier, which is actually much further south and around here. So you have El Calafate here, Puerto Bandera. Puerto Bandera is where the boat to Estancia Cristina goes from. Estancia Cristina is nestled right into this very hidden bay up one of the channels, and the boat trip itself takes passengers from Puerto Bandera on a 2.5 to 3 hour journey up the lake and onto Estancia Cristina. The journey on the way to Estancia Cristina does go into the Uppsala Channel a little bit. It doesn't go all the way up to the glacier. That's just not possible because the amount of icebergs that you have there. But you do get to spot the glacier from a distance on the boat, but you also get to travel past these incredibly wonderful blue icebergs, which I'll show you in a moment. The logistics of going from Calafate. So the pickup from Calafate is around 7:30 or 8, depending where your hotel is. You're arriving at Puerto Bandera about an hour later, and then you're arriving at Estancia Cristina about 11:30 in the morning. This is ideal because then you have a bit of a time to settle in, have some lunch, and get ready for your afternoon excursion. And then departing from Estancia Cristina, the boat leaves at 5:30 in the afternoon arrives about 7:30 because the wind makes the journey a little less time, arriving into Calafate about an hour later. So the boat that belongs to Estancia Cristina is this boat. It's called the Chinook, and it's a very, very stable catamaran. Now, as you are also probably aware, Estancia Cristina has these two different programs that they run. So they run day trippers or day visits to the estancia, but they also, of course, have the lodge where people stay. We would always recommend people do stay if they can. It really gives you that full immersion into where you are. You've got these beautiful long summer days. It's open from October to April only. It is seasonal. And so that added extra kind of experience is well worth it. You also get this extra service when you're on the boat of having the upstairs cabin. And a few more refreshments. You have a bit of kind of privacy there, I suppose. You're the first ones to get on the boat. You're the first ones to disembark from the boat. And so the other people who are going just for the day trips, they have their own guide. So they have all of the facilities that they need. But it's just that people are kept a little bit kind of separate to enjoy either their day that they're going to spend there or the experience of being able to stay at the lodge. So yes, the journey to Estancia Cristina is past these incredible deep blue icebergs that you have floating in the lake. You're also very likely to spot condors and condor nests, and then you're watching the mountains as you go past them as well. And then as you get further down the channel, this is one of my favorite views of Estancia Cristina. And when I was there in February, it was so good to see it again. It was absolutely spectacular. So as you're coming down this channel, you can really see the scale of what you can expect. This is Estancia Cristina down here at the foot of this huge mountain here behind Cerro Norte. And this is how you feel when you're there. You're dwarfed by this incredible mountain range and lakes and rivers as well. So when you arrive, you get to the pier and you're welcomed by the staff of Estancia Cristina. Your name is taken, your luggage is taken separately, and then you're taken up to the lodge. So the lodge itself is made up of these Patagonian style buildings, all very low lying. They blend into the environment beautifully. As you already know, the hotel itself is actually situated within the national park, one of only a few hotels. And so they do obviously have these very strong regulations about how much they can build and you know how much they can do with the land. But I think they've managed that absolutely perfectly. So 5 cottages with 4 bedrooms each, and each of the bedrooms are identical. So there are no standard difference. The only real differences between the rooms is that you've got 3 of the cottages that are similar to this, that are slightly more out in the open. You've got slightly more kind of more expansive views that come out of both the bathroom window and the bedroom window. And then you've got 2 of the cottages which are slightly more hidden. And these are more protected by the trees that are the poplar trees that were planted here by the Masters family to protect their area. And so that's just something to bear in mind. And so if you'd like to know about the names of each of these rooms and how you might want to request them for your clients, and that's something I can help you with. And so then when you're in the cottages, you're looking at this lovely communal area here. There's space outside to leave kind of your muddy boots if you want to, and your walking sticks, and sorry, bear with me just a moment. And then you come into this lovely communal area that has 2 rooms off through two doors here. And then the rooms themselves are beautifully spacious. You know, there's a lot of room, there's a lot of light that comes in. Actually, this photo probably doesn't really do it justice. There's a lot of space that's behind where the picture was taken here. And each of the rooms has these amazing aspects down the valley towards the mountains. There's lots of really lovely touches as well. You're given like handmade chocolates every night, and the water is perfectly drinkable here. And they make sure you get the water every night. You know, you're topped up with enough water as well. These are actually photographs from my own stay. You get your own handwritten note and these little handmade alfajores and local nuts as well in a little jar that you can take with you. That was incredibly useful for a bit of trail mix on the hikes. And so together with these areas that the lodge guests stay, they also have this central area called the Octagono. And the Octagono is where the restaurant and bar and lounge are all located. It's where everyone gathers for briefings of your excursions. It's where everyone gathers after the excursions. You sit here by the fire drinking local gins and gin and tonics and eating the lovely nuts that I just showed you as well. It's a really lovely communal space. It's the only space that has accessible Wi-Fi, which is also quite slow, obviously because of their location, but they do encourage people to disconnect when they're here as well, as do many of our partners actually. And then you've got this beautiful little area on top of the Octagono, this incredible 360 aspect, which is where you're given all of your briefings by your guide and your hosts when you first arrive, and also there's maps and books for you to enjoy as well. So all the food is really sourced locally around the area of Calafate, but they also have their own kitchen garden, which I'll show you in a moment. And the owners have really spent much of the last season developing this menu. They really want to kind of produce as much kind of delicious Patagonian cuisine as possible, but with more of a gourmet twist to it. So yeah, it's really excellent food, especially considering how isolated they are. The menu takes the form of 5 or 6 choices per course, which is the same for the guest stay, but you know, you still have enough to be able to have that variety as well. These are a few pictures of the kitchen garden that they have, where they've got a lot of companion plantings, so these kind of wildflowers with their vegetables. It's really beautiful to see. And then you can visit, any guest can visit that, and then the next day they'll see the produce on their plate. What's really great about the lunches is that they offer out a buffet for people to make their own packed lunches. They offer a box and obviously a water bottle, a reusable kind of utensils, and this way you can create your own lunch with like pasta salads or sandwiches or other salads, so you're not just confined to just a big sandwich if you don't want that, and there's lots of things to choose from, which I thought was a really nice touch. So what are you doing whilst you're here? The Estancia Cristina has this incredible expanse to explore, and it is just for the guests. Another USP for Estancia Cristina is that it is one of the only places it is the only place in Los Glaciares National Park where you can see Uppsala Glacier from the ground. And so this is a really great place to come and see that. And this is probably the best excursion that anyone will do when they come and visit here. So visiting here, you can drive up by 4x4 and have a short 20-minute walk to the Uppsala Glacier. It takes the form of this, you know, it's fairly flat, and you're surrounded by these amazing geological formations, and you arrive at this incredible, wonderful viewpoint, which is just absolutely extraordinary. And whilst you're here, the guide will talk you through how the glacier has receded and the geological formations, how they've changed. And then if you're feeling adventurous and you want an excellent trek, then I would fully recommend taking the 8 miles all the way downhill back to the lodge. And it's great because you get driven up to the viewpoint pretty much all the way uphill, and the whole trek is then downhill through these amazing geological kind of canyons and pink and orange rocks everywhere. It feels like you're in a completely different world. And as I mentioned, it is just the lodge guests are taken by themselves separately from the day trippers. I'd have to say this is one of the best treks I think I've done in Patagonia, not only because it's all downhill, but also for the variety of landscape you see, and you come across these absolutely incredible fossils. Mainly marine fossils, that creatures that lived in the seas between 240 and 65 million years ago. And they're amazing ammonites that you find in this area. And then you come across these huge rocks full of these like little shrimp fossils that you find everywhere as well. There's something to see with every corner. And then you're coming down through the valley, and as you come down, you start seeing the valley open up, and you're seeing the Estancia ahead of you, and you're welcome back for the nice craft beer at the end of the day. Another hike that people can do whilst they're here is called the Cerro Carnero hike, and this is a half-day hike, and this takes people further kind of south, if you like, whereas this one was taking you further north, so along the channel. And again, this really surprised me how amazing this hike was. It's quite hard going in the beginning, you know, there's quite a bit of uphill, but it's really quite short. And so when you're up there, you're looking back at the estancia over here and all the way down the valley. But you're also looking out across the channel and the mountains beyond. I just absolutely loved this trek as well. And then there's a shorter trek, which is only 3 miles, which takes you along the flat of the valley to Cascada Los Perros, which is a small waterfall hike, and can be easily done by anyone of any ability, especially if you have kind of younger families, and that's ideal. And then there's another one that takes you further on from that waterfall, which is called Mirador Cristina. And this way you get this beautiful aspect further down the valley and across to the southern ice field. They also have really excellent horse riding programs at Estancia Cristina. And this is something that they have developed as well over the last season. You can do half-day or full-day hikes depending on your interest. You have really great stables with experienced gauchos and hard hats and chaps to offer the guests as well. And yeah, they, as I mentioned, so half day or full day, they encourage people to kind of come together as a group depending on when you're arriving in Estancia Cristina. So they work out logistically which day it would be better for you to do what. But then if you do a half day ride and you really want to do a full day ride after that, then they'll be happy to accommodate. And that full day ride incorporates a visit to this really beautiful little refuge that's nestled in the mountains. And you stop for lunch, which is even better. There are optional fishing options at Estancia Cristina, but actually these need to be pre-booked and need to be investigated in advance, because you need a fee for the permit, and I think they are catering mainly for fishing groups now rather than individuals. But if you'd like more information on that, because from what I understand the fishing here is top class, then do let me know and I can send you more information. So the historical tour is also part of the whole experience of Estancia Cristina. It's something that the full day guests get to do, as well as the guests who stay, but they're taken at different times. I would definitely recommend this. This is a museum that was in their old barn, and it's something we recommend everyone to do, because it really does give that depth of history around the family and their farm, all the instruments that they use, as well as how their son, he got into kind of shortwave radio messaging and was able to message people around the world. So yeah, there's lots of kind of information on that, information about how they built their boat, the Cristina. This is a picture of Janet down here, who then inherited the farm when she came to work for them. Oh, it's just full of fascinating kind of artifacts and history, really. And then there are shorter trails that you can do from the estancia as well, so including the 3 self-guided trails, essentially. You can take yourself off to the waterfall that I just spoke about. There's a route that takes you around a lake and over this lovely bridge, and then you can also go and visit the Cristina boat as well. So I'll show you these pictures just quickly, and also go and visit this beautiful little church that they built themselves, which is actually really close to the watermill and this bridge. If you're brave enough, you can go for a dip in this glacial river here, which I did do in February, and it was wonderful. It was so good to do that after a hot walk. And this is the Cristina boat, which the family built themselves just by using instructions from a magazine that they had delivered to them. So again, and actually the lodge are starting to rebuild this boat now as well, not to use on the water, but to kind of bring it back to its former glory. So the full day excursions, just to kind of mention them quickly, you have classic discovery, trekking and horse riding. They differ in kind of difficulty or adventurousness. They all include lunch now, and they, as I mentioned, they take the same boat. And this is where you have lunch when you first arrive in this beautiful quincho, which has kind of a bit of a facelift actually since this picture. But you're offered a beautiful kind of 4-course meal as you arrive, which is yeah, a really great introduction. So why stay overnight at Estancia Cristina? Oh, sorry. Basically, apologize for the font. I don't know why it's that color. It wasn't that color a moment ago. You've got all day there. You've got, you know, until when the sun rises, you know, early in the morning to when it sets at 10 or 11 at night, depending what month you're there. You've got these incredible skies to watch. You've got more opportunities, seeing more wildlife as well, you know, the different rabbits and hares and foxes and condors and eagles and cara birds that are dotted around the property. You got some very tame cara birds there. Obviously, the use of all the facilities, and you get this really true sense of Patagonian remoteness and isolation. So the rates for Estancia Cristina include the transfers, full board and soft drinks, choice of daily activities, and the entrance fee to Los Glaciares National Park, and taxes. And the staff here, I haven't really mentioned them at all, but they were so enthusiastic about where they were, and they all live on site, and they're there for the season, and they were just so welcoming, and nothing was too much for them, and you were offered something at every given opportunity. And if you just wanted to go out for a walk by yourselves, they made sure you were okay and where you wanted to go, and yeah, it's made feeling incredibly welcome. And actually, if your room isn't being used later, then you can keep your bags there after the, you know, allotted checkout time if you wanted to use the facilities again, which is also really great if you're doing a morning hike. So if you're staying for 2 nights, which I definitely recommend, minimum 2 nights, you've got that full afternoon on your first day, a full day, and then a full morning the next day, really until the boat goes at 5. So, you know, you've got all of this time to experience the wondrousness of Estancia Cristina, but you do need position nights in Calafate, or you need that last flight that goes out of Calafate to Buenos Aires in the evening. Okay, so I'm going to go on to Las Balsas. I do know that I'm running slightly out of time, but I'll see if I can go through it in much detail as possible. So Las Balsas is a hotel which is in the northern part of Patagonia, so a very different part of Patagonia. It's in the Lake District. It's a Relais Chateau property, and it is located about an hour's drive north of Bariloche. So the airport is just outside Bariloche. You're driving about 50 minutes to an hour to Villa Langostura, and that's where Las Balsas is. And then it's about 130 kilometers south of San Martin. So ideal for a 7 lakes itinerary, ideal for a bit of tranquility in beautiful Lake District of Patagonia. And it's open all year round. So if you have anybody interested in the ski season of Argentina, then this is a really, really great place to come. It feels like an alpine lodge. I'll show you in just a moment, but so it really does have that beautiful kind of alpine feel to it that you can really tell is really cozy in the winter, but also just kind of very open and light in the summer as well. So here we have Villa Langostura, and Las Balsas is in this bay here, very close to the village, but you wouldn't know, or the town, sorry, because it feels incredibly isolated. It's actually surrounded by its own natural reserve. It's about 12 or 15 hectares, I believe. And this bay is really sheltered. Yeah, it's a really lovely place to kind of come to and relax. As you might already know, Noel Huapi Lake is glacial origin. It's very, very deep. That's what gives it this really dark blue, amazing color. And it's one of the major attractions of coming to the Lake District. And to experience it on foot or by boat or anything really. I'll go over the activities in just a moment. So this is the hotel. I was just, you know, I know this image for many years, so it was wonderful to be able to come here and experience it and be able to see this stunning pier and dark blue facade that they have surrounded by these native trees. It just didn't disappoint. You see a lot of boats coming into this bay just to take a picture of this beautiful hotel. So over 25 years, they have been catering for guests. The lodge was actually built in the 80s as a family home. And then it was taken over as a hotel about 25 years ago. And yeah, they have absolutely perfected the art of hospitality. It is no wonder that they were the first Relais Chateau property in Latin America. And they have recently, in the last 3 years, also been certified B Corp. So they're actually the only Relais Chateau B Corp hotel in the whole world. So we're really proud to be able to represent such an amazing property. And yeah, so it's situated on the bay, on this beautiful tranquil bay with their own private pier, access to the beach. The beach is public, but you know, that doesn't, I really enjoy the fact that there are lots of people out there enjoying the beach, and it still feels very calm. They have 10 rooms in total in 3 different categories. So the corner suites are the largest, and they are enormous. This picture and the next don't really do them justice, but they're absolutely beautiful. They have their own walk-in wardrobes. They have huge bathrooms. This room actually has a bathroom with its own balcony, separate showers, and yeah, and lots of space. You're also supplied with a pillow menu and robes and slippers and an Illy coffee machine. Yeah, so very special rooms, the 3 corner suites. The studio suites, they have 3 of these, which are slightly smaller at 45 meters squared. And these are slightly more modern. They have more modern touch to them, kind of more modern decor. Again, big bathrooms, and all of the rooms, including the standard lake rooms, which are smaller still, all have lake views. So they all look out to the lake and the bay. And you've got the sun rising on your, oh God, I can't remember now, left or right, and the sun setting on the other side, which I absolutely loved. I kept my curtains open, and I just thought it was absolutely spectacular. So a real highlight of visiting Las Balsas is trying the food. The restaurant really lives up to its reputation. The food is absolutely exquisite. It's very well curated, and you're offered 3-course meals for each of the meals. Now for next season, they are including all of the meals. It was half board, but they're actually going to full board for next season. It's something to bear in mind. And everything is really fresh, organic, and beautifully done. And again, the restaurant has only these views out to the lake. There's also alfresco dining. They have really beautiful gardens with a very kind of beautifully landscaped, lots of spring flowers, and as I said, native trees as well. So they can you can eat any way you like, but they also organise these afternoon teas if you'd like them the outside area too. The chef is from Colombia. I think he's half Colombian, half Argentinian. It was quite interesting. I met him, and he was actually quite shy, but he's got this really kind of amazing artistic flair with his meals. And yeah, the food is presented really, really beautifully. I think they had like beef cheek that had been, you know, marinated for like 2 days or something. It was absolutely exquisite. They also use a lot of very fresh organic ingredients. They have their own garden, where they collect a lot of these vegetables. Yeah, so I just thought I'd add quite a few different food pictures in here because it is really quite amazing. Obviously, with the local dulce de leche, that can't be left off the menu. They have their own wine cellar at Las Balsas. And I think they have over 500 wines, something like that. So the owners of the hotel, who actually don't have anything to do with the running, the hotel manager is a guy called JP, who some of you may have come across over the years. He's this wonderful, charismatic person who really lives and breathes Las Balsas. But yeah, so the Mendel winery is, let me see. Yeah, so here are a few of the bottles. This is actually owned by the owners, and so they have a lot of different varieties of wine there, and they can offer wine tastings. So that is an extra activity that people can do whilst they're there, but they have their own cellar and their own wine tasting room where people can come together and do that, which I'd fully recommend. They also work together with this award-winning craft gin. Now, obviously, craft gin is something that has just boomed in recent years all over the world. But I have been told on good authority that it is one of the best gins in the world. But anyway, they can organise these gin tastings for you, and they can take guests. They can either do that within the hotel or take guests out to their reserve, where they have little trails and picnic benches and things, which I think is a really lovely touch. The bar is quite interesting. It's got this really eclectic design, which apparently was designed by an Englishman, which again looks out across the lake. And these really kind of beautifully cozy, and as I mentioned, kind of an alpine feel communal areas as well. There are spots just to sit and relax. They have a small library with a really great collection of books. They have this lovely lounge, which is actually the only room that has air conditioning, but over the years, they haven't really needed the air conditioning until quite recently, when they found they had the hottest summer they've ever had. So they're going to be looking to add air conditioning in, but if you keep the windows open, there's enough breeze that comes off the lake that keep the rooms cool. They also have a piano in that room for anybody who fancied a tinkle. The spa is, again, another aspect of the hotel, which is kind of well worth mentioning if people are looking for a spa stay. They've got this beautiful indoor-outdoor infinity pool, which is heated, as well as 3 massage rooms, and a massage is included in the stay as well. Really great gym equipment and a really, really good modern sauna as well. So, and an outdoor jacuzzi. So lots of kind of places to do your wellness and relaxation. And it's really big and with incredible facilities. They really encourage people to come and just experience the area, and sit and kind of take your moments, but also if you wanted to use their yoga platform, or kind of have any kind of yoga classes or Pilates classes, they can arrange that for anyone as well. So in terms of what you can do whilst you're at Las Balsas, it's essentially a hotel which offers food and board, but they don't offer themselves the activities. They're not included in the package, but what they do is they can book these activities through a trusted local supplier. They have a board up in the living room where they have a menu of different things that people can do, like sunset yacht rides and you know, kayaking and things, which are things that people tend to do, and then anything extra like the horse riding and mountain biking, and the very the bigger hikes that you can do in the area to Cerro Bajo and other areas, then yeah, they can also book those as well. So that's something that you might want to talk to your DMC about, because they also wouldn't mind at all if you were to book those activities through your DMC. It's also really great for people on self-drive packages, because then they can arrive and then they can decide what to do when they're there. And it's just perfect to come and relax and to have, as I mentioned, your moments. This is what they really encourage people to do. They've got a few good testimonials here. And yeah, this is what kind of they've created this area where they really want people to kind of sit back and relax. They have a very limited Wi-Fi kind of policy as well. They do ask people to stay off their tablets and off their phones in the communal areas. So yeah, they wanted to bring this art of hospitality to their guests and help them relax into the area and to kind of absorb everything they possibly can from it. And so, as I mentioned, they've also got this beautiful nature reserve that surrounds the hotel, and they have become an official member of the Natural Reserve Network in Argentina, and the organization Aves Argentinas. So they work very hard at preserving. There's a lot of humedales and wetlands around here that are of significant importance in terms of capturing carbon, and so they've worked really hard to preserve these, but also help them survive as well. So they've got some really interesting projects going on there. And as I mentioned, they are B certified, B Corp certified. So they do have a whole report on how they were certified and why. So if you are interested in reading that, I downloaded it. I think it was 86 pages in total. But I think there is a list on our website as well of their sustainability credentials, which I know are really, really fantastic. So yeah, in brief, you've got this really beautiful, peaceful location of Las Balsas, with incredible facilities, amazing hospitality, wonderful food and spa facilities. Yeah, so somewhere to really experience the beauty of the Argentinian Lake District. Okay, so that is the end of the presentation. And so I'd really like to hear any questions if you have them. Just going to, got 8 comments. Let me just pop back and see. So for Estancia Cristina, actually, let me give you a better slide. So I'm not sure how I'm doing that. Okay, so sorry about that. each 2 rooms are sharing a common sitting room and also bathrooms. No, at Estancia Cristina, no, bathrooms are definitely en suite. Sorry, I meant to mention that. And they're huge as well. I didn't have any pictures of the bathrooms, but the bathrooms in Estancia Cristina, they're so well heated, and they're very spacious, and they provide you with these really beautiful organic amenities and bath salts. So if you've gone out for these amazing hikes, it was one of the best showers I ever had as well. It's got excellent pressure and really good hot water. So yes, but you do have this shared kind of seating area, and that is shared between, which is kind of the indoor porch, if you like, between the 4 rooms. And then you've got 2 doors off there, and then the 2 doors for each of the rooms as well. Las Balsas open over New Year and Xmas. So yes, Las Balsas is still closed to the family, I'm afraid, over New Year and Christmas. And someone has told me he has a bottle of the Mendel wine at home. That's fantastic news. Can you get it in the UK? Not sure. I picked it up on a farm. I will definitely find out for you. This might be a new little venture for us, as it turns out. How long would you recommend to stay at Las Balsas? Oh, absolutely minimum 2 nights. Yeah, I was there for 2 nights, and I could have stayed for a lot longer. Because I feel like it takes 2 nights to settle into a place, and then you would like a full day of adventure, and then a 3rd night, and then to go on there. Do you think you could go to the Lake District or just stay there? Do you think it's necessary to stay in Bariloche? Well, it's really up to the client whether they would like to stay in Bariloche and Las Balsas. I think they could definitely be combined, because then you can do all of those excursions that people want to do around Bariloche, like Cerquito Chico, and if they're coming in from Chile as well on the boat. But if someone's looking for either a start or end to itinerary where they just want to be somewhere and relax into kind of an Argentinian kind of traditional place and soak up the atmosphere, then really I'd say this is a destination in itself as well. You've got that incredible view of the Andes out across the lake as well. So you don't just have this view of the lake, but you can also see the Andes beyond that as well. So yeah, it's well kind of you can definitely recommend it as a destination in its own right, but I do understand that Bariloche is also the destination, and you've got some highlights of activities to do there as well. Any other questions? Do any of these Balsas need pre-booking? Oh, that's a good question. No, generally not. I mean, it does depend on availability. I would say maybe in high season, I think what you could do is definitely tell your DMC what your clients are interested in, and get that message to JP. In fact, he said that to me as well. He's like, we really like to know who our clients are and what they're interested in, any special occasion, so that they can, either kind of tailor any activities for them, or but generally no, you don't really need to book anything in advance, but it is definitely helpful for them to know if they're into, like, say, mountain biking or fishing, for example. Okie dokie. Any other questions at all? I'm going to stop sharing this now because it's getting a bit complicated. Oh, look at you all. It's lovely to see so many familiar names. Great. Well, thank you very much for your time, everyone. I know I've run up to 40 minutes now. And I think next time, I'm not sure, but I'll let you know what presentation we're doing. I think we might be getting Fiona from Tierra to come and present, and maybe get one of the guys from one of the Tierras to jump on board with us as well, which would be great. So as always, I will follow up with the recording and the presentation and the questions. Thank you very much for your questions, Susan. And I'll see you all again soon.